Our guest comes from humble beginnings, but he has risen to become a world-renowned artist.
Like the people who go on TV shows, I don't consider them tattooers. TV shows like Ink Master, like I told them to fuck for like 6 seasons. It's not gonna happen. So that might ruffle some feathers.
His unapologetic personality shines through in his work, making each piece a true masterpiece.
Well, tattooing started 6 or 7 years old.
Interesting enough, Yogi also has a YouTube channel called Yogi Barrett Sucks. And despite having almost 1,400 subscribers, he doesn't have any videos.
A technique vampire.
You may have read about him in the issue of Skin and Ink.
It was the only art form that came with consequences.
He also is featured in Ink magazine.
But I don't want to sell out tattooing. I haven't forgot who I am.
And he is a founder, owner, and artist. Me and Yogi go way back into the days where we were slinging cases at Publix. Back then we had dreams, but didn't quite know how to achieve those dreams. So without further ado, Yogi Barrett, formerly known as John Barrett. Welcome to the show, homie.
We learned how to work in that warehouse as well.
We did learn how to work.
That's what we learned how to do. We learned how to work.
So I don't have it with me, but I have some video of you chunking cases.
Yeah, and you put like was it a Disturbed song?
Yeah, something like that. It was really bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I have a bunch of people back from that time.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, because you were. What were you doing? You
I was just trying to study.
Yeah, you were filming all like the people who consistently threw like a faster percentage. Like, didn't you get Omari Maddox and Ruben?
I did.
And, like,
I did. Yeah.
You should do a compilation of all of us.
All of them put together. Yeah. So, and then the one video was with you.
Yeah.
And you were selecting, and my ride was my pallet jack was there, and you came up and you let it coast, and when it coasted, the pallet jacks almost collided, and they came within like
I remember that.
And you were like,
I
and you just
remember
pulled
that.
off.
I remember that. Which you're not. We weren't supposed to let our pallet jacks coast at all.
No,
we were supposed to come to a complete stop. But
that's the only way to.
Yeah, you don't get a big percentage if you're not coasting.
No,
you know what I mean. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the check digits definitely helped too. So
that's it. So what do you think the secret to that was? Because you would pull high.
Knowing the check digits.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, knowing them ahead of time.
Yeah.
You were calling them down
I would call them when I got the order. I would start the order before I even got there.
Okay. So
when we would get the pallets on the dock.
You knew all the check digits.
Yeah, when I was hitting the door, I was already calling the first slot, and it was telling me how many to take. Now I would remember how many, and I was like, when I'd hit that, I'd just wide open, and I'd just start throwing stuff on the pallet jack. That was almost bad. I would just start throwing stuff onto the pallet. Yeah.
So for people who never worked at Publix or Select, you would have a headset, and it would say that you got an order. It was this size of an order. You grab 2 pallets, and they would tell you what aisle to go to, and it was like Alpha, Bravo, Alpha, and then inside the aisle you had pallets and these shelves, and on it would have a number, and then it would have a check digit, and the number was the name of the slot, and then the check digit was so that the headset knew you were at the right location.
Yeah, you would call out. It would tell you what slot to go to. You called out the check digit so that the T2 knew that you were at the right slot. Because if you called out the wrong check digit, it wouldn't tell you how many to take.
Exactly, it would know you're at the wrong slot, and therefore you're going to fulfill the wrong order.
I guess it was just knowing the check digits, and then like I said, letting your pallet jack coast. Like, you can't stop moving.
No,
essentially, like if you're stopping at every slot, then unless it's like one of those where you're like, you hit rock salt and it's like take 40 and you're like bags of rock salt. You're like, okay, I'm gonna
back under this one. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're getting like salad dressing and like little stuff like that, it was like, remember when everybody would hit the salad dressing aisle and it was just chaos?
Total chaos.
Oh my god.
Because you'd have too many people in there at the same time.
And everybody was fast. Like we had a crew, dude. Everybody was fast. And then when you hit that, everybody was like, and we were all trying to hit that percentage. We were all jacked up on energy drinks and yellow jackets, and we were like, "Get out of the way!"
Way too many energy.
Like, dude, we were
getting arguments.
It was so gnarly, dude, so gnarly.
What's your worst story of selecting?
I don't think I have like a worst story.
So I'll give you one maybe to spark is we were in the coffee aisle and it was on the second shelf. This was big tubs of coffee, like gallon size or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And of course, you don't have a shirt on. You're sweating. No. You're grabbing stuff. And I went to grab it, and when I did, the whole coffee like on me, and of course it just stuck to me.
You know what? I do have one. I hit the it was the soda aisle. And I didn't stack, because you know how you did the tea and then you did 3 on each side, and then you do the tea the opposite way.
The opposite way, yeah.
Right. So I was brand new, and I had stacked them straight up. And
the moment you hit
and I had 2 whole pallets of soda, and I had wrapped them. I backed up under them, picked them up, and I went to hit the corner, and I turned, and both of them and they hit, and they just soda went everywhere. And then what was our trainer's name? Was it Terrell?
There was Terrell. He was a short, stocky guy that was pulling like
Terrell just
200s.
Terrell jumped on the what was the intercom, and was just like, clean up, like aisle so and so said, like, and then everybody. I remember all the selectors that were in the warehouse, like you heard it throughout the warehouse, and so all of them like pulled up to the end of the aisle to like look down, and they were like,
bro.
And I was just like, I was like, oh no, I probably cost Publix like $1 million in soda that day. Like, it was like, dude, there was so much. And then sanitation was pissed off at me too, because they had to clean it all up. So they were just mopping sugar soda, just like, oh man, it was sticky. All the selectors got mad at me. Like, I was just like, oh,
did they recycle that order back to you so you go back and get it?
I don't remember. I don't think they did. I think they were scared too, honestly.
Yeah.
They were probably just keep him off the soda aisle for a while. Just give him a giant 17 pallet can order.
Put him in cans. Yeah, exactly.
I got the biggest can order ever.
I think I remember that order.
I remember this. Yeah,
150. No,
it was like a 13 pallet can order or something like that, and it was the last order of the night. I had done something to piss off one of the lead men, and they left it for me.
Yeah,
and then they gave it to me.
Didn't split it up.
And they left it for me at the end of the night. Yeah, I had done something to piss one of them off. I can't remember what it was, but
like splitting can orders up, or splitting any order up, generally they'll have like maybe a 10 pallet order or something, but they'll split it up into 2s or even 4s. So at the end of the night, you don't get one person that's stuck with this gigantic order, and everybody else is gone. But of course, if you make somebody angry, you might just get a 7 pallet can.
Which
order.
when it happened, no, it was 13 pallets.
Yeah,
it was 13 pallets.
Well, that should have been split up.
I walked it. Because I was like, all right, y'all gonna give me the last biggest order ever at the end of the night. I was like, joke's on y'all. Y'all are gonna have to stay here forever. Either. Yeah, I walked. I think I pulled like a 50. I walked the whole thing, dude. And it was massive, dude. It took me hours. I was just chilling. Like, I was like, nope. I just walked it. And they were mad. They were trying to get me to hurry up. I was like, nope. Nope. Just chill. I was going as slow as I could.
So that's when we met selecting.
Yeah.
That was how we met. But you were doing tattoos before that, correct?
Yeah.
What was the story? Like, how did that start initially?
Well, tattooing started for me when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old. So my father got out of prison, and he had a bunch of like prison tattoos, right? So, and I was growing up in like rural Alabama, right? So no one had tattoos. No one, right? So when he got out and I saw them, I was infected with this shit. Like, I saw it and I was just like, oh my God. I was like, whatever this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. So so when I was growing up, other kids were drawing like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and stuff like that. I was drawing like Reapers and 8-balls and Panthers and Spiderwebs and stuff. And and then when I was like 16 years old, I started going to tattoo shops, and I was like hustling Flash. Like, for those who don't know, Flash is like when you go into a shop and you have like the pages on the wall that have like all the designs on them. That's Flash. So I would draw my own Flash, and then I would go to tattoo shops and I would try to sell the Flash, right? Okay. And that's what I was just trying to make some extra money.
Hustle.
Yeah.
Where was this at?
The first shop I ever walked into to do that was in Oxford, Alabama. And which they didn't buy anything. Do
you know what shop that is?
I don't remember.
No?
I tried to find out not that long ago.
Did you? Really?
Yeah, I tried to find out because I was like
sick.
Because I remembered very specifically that like in that shop, because I was a huge I was smitten by a bunch of different styles of like art, right? And one of my biggest influences was this guy named Tom McFarlane. He created Spawn. And so I was a huge Spawn fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went into the shop, I remember there was one wall in particular, and they had a bunch of Spawn figures.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pre, like, the internet wasn't really like a thing
Mm-hmm.
yet, you know what I mean? And it was a little bit, and eBay was still kind of new.
Yeah.
And this guy he was like, yeah, you get them from eBay, you get a credit card. And I was like, what's a credit card? Like, how does that, what's eBay?
How does that work?
And but he had a wall of like Spawn figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that in a post, and I was trying to find out what the place was. I couldn't remember what it was. And I was like, and I very specifically remembered that detail. And I put that in the post, hoping that it might spark something in somebody else, and they would remember the shop and let me know what it was. But to no avail. But that was the first shop I went into and tried that. And it didn't really work out.
No.
And then when my father died, I got sent to Florida. And when I got to Florida, that's when I started going to all the shops here in Lakeland. And that's also when I started tattooing. But I started tattooing like prison style.
Yeah.
Like I made like a tattoo machine out of like
safety pin.
Yeah, it was like a toothbrush and like JB Weld and like a
melted Jello cups,
like all that stuff. Yeah, it was like and I took I made the ink the old prison way too.
Mm-hmm.
I took I burned a bunch of styrofoam.
Yeah.
And I collected the soot on the styrofoam or on a piece of cardboard from the styrofoam. So when it comes up,
it's the soot.
Okay. You catch it on a piece of cardboard, right?
Yeah.
And then you scrape it off into a toothpaste cap, and you add a little bit of toothpaste or shampoo and mix it up. That's your pigment, right?
Okay.
So that's when I did my very first, this little guy right there.
Really? Little crossbones.
Yeah, a little crossbone, little Jolly Roger. But yeah, dude, that's when I started. I was 17, and then like, of course, like the neighborhood kids, like all the parents were like, you can't fucking go down there, dude. You ain't hanging out with because I was tattooing all the neighborhood kids and stuff, dude.
How old were you?
17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was legit, dude. Yeah, that's when I started. I was 17.
So going back just a little bit, when's the first time like you walked into random tattoo shops and just pitched? When's the first time it worked and you sold something?
It was where Corey Kraft worked at Skin Deep here in Lakeland. Later he bought it and turned it into Black Swan.
Okay.
But yeah, like that's the shop that I went into. That's one of the shops around here that I went into, and I was just like, but whoever owned Skin Deep at the time, they bought some. So if they have a storage unit where they still have all the old flash and stuff, they might have some 17-year-old fucking Yogi Barrett flash in there.
You might want to get that and sign it.
Dude. So they have, I mean, if they still have it in a storage unit somewhere or something, they got it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's how I was like, that's how I got my in though, because I would show up and I was like hustling flash. It was like, then when I turned 18, I started getting tattooed also. And mind you, this whole time I'm tattooing at home, trying to anyways. And back then you couldn't get any info. It wasn't like we didn't have Amazon.
Yeah.
You couldn't get equipment. Like the only equipment you could get was out of the back of a magazine or something. And it was like, dude, you couldn't get anything. You couldn't find anything, So I was just trying to figure it out at my house. And I would go into shops and try to hustle flash. And when I was there, I would try to like eavesdrop and just try to get a little bit of, see if I could catch any gems.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18, I started getting tattooed, so I started spending more time in the shop. And then eventually I started bringing drawings to the shop, and it got to the point where, I wanted an apprenticeship. Couldn't get one. Back then it wasn't so easy, And it took 2 years for me to, like, get... You good?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, since you already paused. What is it? Go ahead and tell me.
That's our bartenders who wants to know when to do drinks.
Okay. Do you want old fashions?
Are you getting an old fashioned?
Yeah.
I'm more of a lager guy. Is that okay?
No, that's fine. I don't know.
Do they have beer?
They have 3. Let's ask her.
Yeah, I mean, we're paused.
Yeah, let's ask her. Yeah, we're already paused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He don't actually drink old fashions either. He's,
It's just water.
he's just being fancy
Just
for
drink
no
water.
reason.
I'm
letting the people know.
I got my own old fashioned.
Poser.
I made my own.
Poser.
It's called the Whiff Wham Old Fashioned.
Trash. Hot damn.
That's right. So,
anyways, all right. So, yeah. So the apprenticeship. So I was going in there and I was dropping off. I was taking drawings and stuff like that. And back then, you couldn't get an apprenticeship easy. You know what I mean? It was tough.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 years of going in there and getting tattooed and hanging out and bothering them to like get an apprenticeship eventually. Like, you know, but it got to the point where I would walk in and be like, yo, can I get an apprenticeship? They'd be like, fuck off. I'd be like, all right, see you guys tomorrow. Like, you know, like, yeah.
Would you come back the next day?
Yep. Every day. I was relentless.
What tattoo shops?
Black Swan.
Black Swan specifically. It was just Black Swan?
Yeah, I like them. Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How long did you think you did that? How many times do you think you went in before that?
Oh God, dude, hundreds probably. Yeah. I was just in there all the fucking time. Yeah, like it took forever. Like it wasn't easy to get an apprenticeship. You know, it was tough, man. I had to badger them.
Awesome.
I had to absolutely badger them before they would like let me in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I finally got in, it was typical, you know, old school apprenticeship. You know, you got hazed if you fucked up and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's compared to now, like, you know, it's easy to get an apprenticeship now. I mean, their shops are advertising for apprentices now. You know what I mean? It's so different. You know, so.
What do you think that's different? What's changed? Why was it so hard then, but so easy now?
I think
to get in.
I think a big part of it is, I mean, I think there's definitely more shops for sure. You know what I mean? There's more, you know, more tattooers, more, you know.
So tattooing's maybe a little more mainstream.
I don't think it was. I think it's mainstream in a sense of like there are more places now to get tattooed, and there are, you know. I'm trying to think of a way to say it. Mainstream is like, you know,
like old people
you have it
now
popular with
that
like
still have like tattoos.
It's never.
And they dress like.
It's always been
the chucks on.
I always say this, right? And I always say this in the conversation where this comes up is always talking about scheduling.
Yeah.
So tattooers will talk about how they're booked out for like 2 years, right? Some of them, and you know what that is. Whenever they do that, it's a humble brag. Right. What they're essentially saying in the group conversation with whoever's around is that people will wait 2 years to get tattooed by me.
Yeah.
It's a flex, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask them, well, why do you do that? You know, they'll always say, oh man, you gotta get the money while it's there, you know, that kind of thing, right? They'll make something up to that effect. And it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever been told this before or if you guys knew this, but no tattooer in the history of tattooing has ever fucking ran out of clients before. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to book yourself out for 2 years, right? So, I mean, you know, with that being said, like no tattooers ever ran out of clients. You know, it's always been popular. You know, it was just like, now it's just a little more accepted, I think. So I think that, you know, the churchgoers are a little more comfortable walking into a shop now and getting a little cross with a little, you know, Psalms, whatever verse or, you know, whatever the case, right? Which back in the day, they wouldn't dare walk into a tattoo shop. You know what I mean? Like that was like where, like, you know, the lowbrow people were.
Right.
So,
it had an image it's not the same as what it used to be.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And I think that's definitely part of what separates, because there's a line in the sand now in tattooing where, for me in particular, I started saying a while back, there are tattooers and there are people who tattoo, and they're not the same thing. And what I mean by that is I consider myself, I'm a tattooer. So what I mean by that is like I'm fulfilled by tattooing, right? Like you know, it's like the people who go on TV shows and stuff like that. Like I don't. And this is just my personal opinion, but I don't consider them tattooers. And the reason I don't consider them tattooers is because they also fucking need to be recognized at the grocery store. Tattooing is not enough for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They also need that validation from people who have no fucking say-so whatsoever to do with tattooing. It's like that thing you read in the beginning of this with like Ink Mag or like whatever, right? You know, you pull up some articles, you read them, and you find some info about me or like whatever, but it's like, who wrote that matters.
Yeah.
Right. So I've had clients come in and say similar things and talk about things that they Googled. And they'll talk about how, you know, this article said I'm one of the most sought after tattooers in the last 20 years and like all this stuff. Right. And it's like, that's cool. And I appreciate it being out there. But like my peers didn't write that. It was some dude who fucking works at Ink Mag because Ink Mag was hoping they would write something cool, put it out there and tag me, hoping I would shout them out. You know, it was a move, right? It's not, to me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't also need extra validation from people who don't matter, right? So the thing that separates tattooing then from tattooing now is tattooing for a very long time was the only thing, it was the only art form that came with consequences, right? So back, I think tattooing, in America. I'm specifically talking about tattooing in the United States. Started in, I don't know, late 1800s, maybe even mid 1800s. I think the first shop opened in 1870 in New York.
Wow, shop.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was 1870. And feel free to Google or fact check. I think I'm pretty close.
They're using power, like.
Oh, they were using I know for a long time they were using like car batteries and stuff like that. I'm not sure what they were using.
But it was like a.
Oh yeah. Okay. It was electric.
It wasn't
tattooing.
like a.
Yeah. So tattooing back then versus tattooing now, it's like, those tattooers faced, they were a social outcast. They were a leper. You faced like being shunned by your friends and your family. You could be jailed. You could be fined, right? If you were caught in the wrong place tattooing, that was a problem. I mean, we were freaks in the circus. Everyone looked down on us, right? Like this was not socially acceptable. This was lowbrow shit,
right?
The only people who were like considered like, who were maybe of a higher status in society that were getting tattooed were like, people in the military, and they would hit, Sailor Jerry's place or something like that. But with that whole thing, it's like now, it's like, there's no consequences to tattooing, right? So you have all these art kids who are coming out of like, art school with their art degree, or they get out of tattoo school and they have their diploma, and they see tattooing as, I can make money doing my art that way. It's about them, right? Whereas back in the day, you had to face consequences to be able to tattoo. And it's like, if you did that back then, it was like you loved tattooing.
Because you did it against all odds. You would do it even in the face of.
You loved tattooing.
Not
you didn't love
gaining
art.
something.
You didn't love art. You loved tattooing. Otherwise, they would have just been fucking artists.
Right, but that's a form of art.
It is a form of art, but it was the only one that came with consequences.
It's just a specific form of art.
And there's another big part. And there's another big part of that, right? What's that? Oh, is that the drinks?
Yeah.
Sick.
This is our Studio 61 lager. It comes with a lot of sweat and a little bit of angst. And this is the Jonathan Old Fashioned. A little bit of swan turd. There you go.
Sick. Oh, yeah. All right. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Kung Pai, Jubilee, Prost, Slancha. All the above.
Nice. So
basically what you're saying is like, so now you can become a tattoo artist and you can gain notoriety. You can become, it's admired. It's kind of like entrepreneurship a few decades ago. When I was a kid, entrepreneurship wasn't like a rock star thing. It wasn't looked up to. It was when you were in school, it was get a job, study for that job.
Right.
You needed a trade. That's what you needed, right? You needed to do something like, oh, you're going to start a business? Okay. It was looked down on. But you're talking yours is a little more extreme.
All right. Well, it's
that.
A little deeper than that. And I'll tell you when it happened, like when this sort of like epiphany for me happened, because this wasn't taught to me. I went to an antique store, and when I was there, I was walking around and I was looking for this was an antique store I'd been in several times. And the lady comes up to me and she goes, "Can I help you find something?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually." I was like, because whenever I'm there, I'll always look for anything that's sort of like tattoo related at all. Or it's old books or anything that has old designs in it, like whatever, right? I try to find something, can never find it. So I'm browsing around and this lady comes up to me and she asked me if she can help me with anything. And I asked her if she had any old tattoo stuff, or actually first I asked her if she had any old branding equipment for animals, old farm branding equipment. And the reason I asked her that is because one of the things we used to do for farmers back then, we used to help brand the animals.
Really?
Yeah. So
as a kid?
No, not me personally, like tattooers. Like
okay.
Back we would put numbers on it, or whatever, right? So she goes, no, she's, what are you looking for? And I was like, well, I'm looking for old tattoo stuff. You know what I mean? If you have anything, if you ever come across anything, I'm always a buyer. I can give you my contact info. She shakes her head. She goes, nope. And I was like, come across anything? And she goes, no. And this is when it happened. She looks at me and she goes, you guys have it all. And it hit me. That's when I understood. We own our history. There's nothing else like this in the world. Like, there's not a bunch of painters that own Van Gogh's old brushes. They're in a museum somewhere owned by some rich dude or whatever, right? If you want to see about tattooing, you want to talk about tattooing, you want to know anything about that, you got to go into that tattoo shop and you got to talk to me. You gotta
tattoo
talk
artists have
to
collected
us.
all of the...
We were the only people that cared about it.
To save it.
We were the only people who kept it, preserved it, and passed it down because we thought it was something worth saving.
Yeah.
No one else cared. That's why we literally own our history. There's nothing else like that in the world. There's nowhere where you're going to find
What are some examples of things like this?
The old acetate stencils, the old machines. We used to have to make our own our own tools and our own tubes and our own machines. And we the old batteries that we used to work off of, the old clip cords we used to make, the old foot pedals, I saw one person selling a bag of just old photographs, like Polaroids, like, that you used to have to shake and get them to develop. They just had like a whole bag, and it was like, I believe it was, it might have been Jerry's or Coleman's or something like that, but I can't remember who it was, who owned the photos, but they were selling an old bag of photos that was like, and the only people that have this stuff are tattooers. We're the only people that got it, dude. Like, you can't find it anywhere else. There are a few tattoo museums, but it's usually loaned to the museum by tattooers.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's deeper than that. This is ours. And that's why I feel some kind of way whenever people come into it and they're just like, I'll make money doing my art that way. It's like, you wouldn't have been a tattooer if this was 1940. You would have been an artist, because there's no way you would have faced the social, repercussions when it came to being a tattooer. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have done it.
You guys are kind of were looked at least in that time, as almost like witches.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. We weren't very welcome.
Like,
you know
exactly,
what I mean?
right. You a witch? No,
not at all.
No.
Yeah, tattooing used to be like, what do you do? It's like, I'm a tattooer. They're like, how are you a wizard?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, you too? Like, me too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great. Yeah, you got some stuff off Amazon. Now you're a tattooer. It's like, so there are tattooers and there are people who tattoo, and they're not the same thing. We just have a business full of like artists now. You know what I mean? Which is fun. They do bring something to the table in terms of like advancing the art part of it, but they don't care about staying loyal to, the sort of like the code that we have in tattooing and taking care of it and preserving it and passing it down. They don't care. They would sell all of it out for their own $5 and just like fuck everybody else. Like they don't care,
No way.
Which is essentially why I've told like TV shows like Ink Master, like I told them to fuck off for like 6 seasons. They were relentless. Like they were like trying to get me on that show. I was like, guys, like it's not gonna happen. It's like ever. They thought I was just being cheeky, like this cool guy. They wanted. I was like, no. I was like, you don't understand. I was like, it's not fucking happening, dude. I'm like, not going. Like, like it just wouldn't go through. I mean, But yeah, so I mean, to me, that's the difference between tattooers and people who tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a huge gap there. There are people who love it and they'll stay true to it forever, and then there are people who just will sell it out. So
I think that you're tied in. I think this ties in because you have the YouTube channel, which you had a video.
I had a video.
You had a video up there, right? And then you took it down. Yeah. And I know we've had conversations before about kind of the balance or the struggle between putting out content, but then remaining authentic and true, which is imperative in content, is remaining authentic, right? Which you turn these guys down for something that could have been lucrative. Could have been lucrative, exactly. That's a good word. Yeah. But so where in building this YouTube channel that you're gonna jumpstart here, what's the kind of content that you're gonna make, and how are you gonna stay true to yourself?
Oh, that's more true to myself and you'll see when it comes out. Like it's because you've known me forever. I'm very sarcastic and passive aggressive and real cheeky and so the channel itself, there's no tattoo content on the channel other than maybe like I might paint some flash, something like that. But it's episodic, so each episode is going to be essentially just me doing a piece of art, and then in between while I'm drawing and stuff like that, I'll jump in and like talk some trash, maybe like a your mom joke or something, and then I'll get back to like the time lapse, and essentially it's just entertainment. That's what I'm going for. There's nothing like, I just want to put it out there for fun, just to like, gives me something else to build, gives me another platform. And because I'm kind of over the platforms that I'm on, the algorithm they've kind of turned it into a second job at this point, and I'm just like, I can't keep up. Like, I don't have enough content to post on Instagram because I only tattoo. I'm a full-time parent. I'm a single parent, so you know, I don't have time to like tattoo 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Like I got a kid in school, I got, you know, things to do. So this way it'll be an episode every 2-3 weeks, you know, and I'm just gonna keep that going for as long as people are interested, I guess. You know what I mean? I'm really not taking it too serious. That's why it's called Yogi Barrett Sucks. Like, it's like, I'm just like, whatever, you know, but it'll just be a lot of like, you know, just like backhanded stuff that I'm talking trash to, like, you know, to the viewers or like whatever, you know, just stuff like that. Just stupid stuff.
The same thing we did. Slinging cases.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, like, and your mom is the greatest comeback of all time. So it works for everything. You know what I mean? You know, so it works for everything. Your mom, you know, it's like, so it keeps, you know, it works great.
What random, kind of going back to the beginning, would you go to Publix if they said, hey, we could sling one order?
Right now?
Would you go sling an order?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would do it.
How do you think you'd do?
Bad.
Yeah?
I don't remember any check did.
No. That's right. That was your secret power.
I ain't done that. Not only that, but like we were all, well, I mean, you're still small, but like, fuck, you know, we were all skinny. Like, if you were big and you went into Publix and you started slinging cases,
you were not
you weren't going to be big for very long, dude. You were going to shed it fast, dude. It was you because
it was sweaty.
You couldn't
and
stay,
hot,
and it didn't matter what time of the year it was.
No,
you know,
10
minutes
doesn't
in,
matter.
10 minutes in, you were soaked. It didn't matter, dude. So. Like I don't think I do well at all. You know what I mean? I'm not as flexible or as fast as I used to be. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, dude, like I don't think I do very well, but I would definitely go still pulling order. I think you need that from time to time, especially with a job like mine. You know, where I'm like,
I feel that.
You know, I'm tattooing now. You know, the other day,
basically a desk job.
Essentially, like the other, you know, my first job was roofing.
Oh.
Yeah, roofing. I roofed for a year here in Lakeland.
Oh, really?
Which was awful.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was my first job. And, dude, like, by the end of the year, my hands were, like, tough, dude. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the other day, I went to this restaurant, and this waitress brought out a plate. And she was like, oh, it's hot. And she handed it to me, and I was like, you're holding it. And I grabbed it, and I was like, oh, my God.
It is hot.
You know, like, yeah. I was like, you know, I have tattooer hands now. You know, they're soft, dude, you know?
Lotion every morning.
Yeah, so it's good to, like, I think it's good to, like, I mean, there's honor in a good day's work, and I think every now and then, you know, it wouldn't be a bad thing to remind yourself, put on some work boots and go roof for a day, or go, you know, pull an order or two, you know, or something, do something like that, and then come back home after a long ass day in the sun and take your boots off and have a beer and see how good that feels. You know what I mean? Because it was awesome.
And then go back to your regular job and have a new.
And you would have so much more appreciation for it. And all this trash I'm talking, I would never do that.
Well, I actually so I worked for a company in town. I did moving, I did new construction, I installed windows, I did the selecting. Yep. Like there was a lot of manual labor jobs.
Selecting's up there, dude.
It is
That's
up there
brutal job.
in the manual labor world. It's you're not in the direct sunlight.
No.
But
do you remember this? There were problems that came with selecting that I forgot, that like I didn't think about when I went into select. Tell me if you remember this, if this happened to you, because I know it happened to a lot of guys there. Do you remember in our little boxes on top of our pallet jacks on our battery?
Yes.
On the little, you know, we
everybody had their own little, with the little bungee cord.
Do you remember Band-Aids being in there?
No. See, I had like a fanny pack.
Instead
of putting it here, I would put mine on the back of the.
Okay, so a lot of guys had Band-Aids.
Yeah.
I didn't know why when I first got there. Didn't make sense to me. I was like, why are you fucking Band-Aids?
Was it can out?
No.
Was that it?
Here's what it was. All right. So when you're in there and you're pulling those orders and you're sweating your fucking ass off, dude. Right? Right? And then you sit down for a little while on break, you go sit down for lunch or whatever, your shirt dries up.
Yeah.
And when you go back out there, all the salt.
Chafing.
Yes. So your nipples, they get chafed, dude. You get like, they'll scab up, bro. Like, so dudes were like, tape their nipples. Or Band-Aid their nipples so that like that didn't happen. No. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, I believe it.
So like, I mean, you know, there's stuff that came with that job that you didn't even think about. I saw Tate one time, he was pulling an order. He went to take a step and his steel toe came out of the boot.
Ding, ding, ding.
Were you in the aisle when that happened?
If it wasn't him, it was somebody else.
And he duct taped it. And then he kept going.
Back into the boot.
Yeah, he grabbed it. He had duct tape in his little... He duct taped his shoe, put it back on, just kept going.
Went back to work.
Yeah. Like, and he was in his boxers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't, you know, like we were
Warehouse
savages.
is so dirty,
Dude,
It's so dirty.
It was gnarly, dude. You're gonna sweat everywhere. You're gonna sweat in places you didn't know you could sweat before.
Yeah,
It was brutal.
In Florida heat.
Oh, dude, yeah. And there was no AC. Like, for the people who don't know, like, in this warehouse, like, first of all, it's a high velocity warehouse. So everything in there is bulk. So if you hit a bleach aisle, you don't grab a gallon of bleach. You grab a box with 6 gallons of bleach, and it's like take 20.
Yeah.
And you got to grab 6 gallons at a time.
Stack.
You know what I mean? And you got to stack them up. And you're in a warehouse with no AC. All you have is those big ass fans. Yep. So if it's 100 degrees out there, it's 110 inside. It's 100 to 115. You know, it's fucking hot, dude. And you would go in there, 10 minutes, you were soaked. And with the humidity, I mean, it would just stick to you, dude. You remember that? It's just like, dude.
That's why everybody started coming out.
Yeah,
even me.
Everybody
I
started
didn't want to be shirtless.
Everybody started taking their shirts off. Everybody did.
It's just too hot.
Yeah,
it's too hot.
Like I said, Tate was pulling orders in his boxers.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Jambier and them walked by. They didn't even care. They were like, "You good? All right, carry on."
Whatever.
They didn't care as long as you were pulling, dude. They didn't care, you know. But it was brutal work. Especially the amount of miles that you would walk a night. I don't know how many, because we didn't have step counters on our wrist back then.
No.
But dude, like, I wonder how many steps you would, like, how many miles you would get a night, because
I bet there's somebody. There's guys that know now.
dude. You know, especially like the guys who were like pulling hard.
Yeah.
Dude, like put us some fucking miles a day. You know what I mean? I couldn't keep weight on. Between that and training, like, it was. I was
already 135 pounds.
Yeah, I was a rail, dude.
Yeah.
I was tiny. Yeah.
I just recently did a shoot at Publix, and we got to walk through one of the warehouses.
That's full circle.
It's one across the street. It is. Not HV, which is not HV now. It's Chart now. HV has moved to County Line Road. So Chart.
Where did they move Chart to?
Chart's
HV and HV is Chart.
No, so HV moved to County Line Road, where they got a brand new warehouse.
Okay.
So, and LV, I believe LV and HV is together now, but they're separated at the same time.
Okay.
And then Chart moved from, I think it was Davenport,
and
it moved to the old HV, the original warehouse.
Gotcha.
So across the street, they have a studio there. We went in there, but like walking through and smelling the cardboard and smell like the warehouse and the way, like, it was just like,
it hit you.
It was like 20-30 seconds of walking through there, you know, and everybody else is just like, and I'm just like,
the memories,
flashbacks, and memories and whatnot. And then we went to lunch, and we went to the same lunch cafeteria.
You went to the cafeteria?
Same cafeteria.
Dude.
You got your board, right? You got your silverware. You went down the aisle. It was taco day, so we were making tacos.
And you could actually eat like a full meal because you didn't have to go back to work. You know?
Well, yes. Yep.
Remember that? We wouldn't eat anything.
No, you
we would hardly eat. Yeah, we would hardly eat because
it's too hot. It'd be too heavy on your stomach.
Yep. You couldn't move.
So,
you don't want to go back and have the itis. Yeah, because you go back and you're slow. Like, there goes your percentage. There goes your minutes.
It's all going down.
There goes your minutes for the night. You know what I mean?
Well, you couldn't sit there for long either.
Yeah, you couldn't get your minutes.
You had 30 minutes, but you need to be back at that computer. Yep. I still occasionally have dreams that I go to Publix and I'm working, and I go, I never clocked in.
My old code is part of a lot of my passwords.
It's just the same here. It's the same. It is. It really is.
Yeah, it's still part of a lot of my passwords.
The code for logging in, along with the ride number that I used to always try to get.
You had your ride number?
And then it's
dude. So, I forgot about the ride numbers, dude.
What ride did you use to grab?
I can't even remember. I remember my old code, but I don't remember the ride number.
The ride numbers.
No, I don't remember the ride numbers.
So we used to fight over them.
Yeah. Like, almost literally fight. You go grab somebody else's ride, they would knock your shit off their ride. They were like, if you're a new guy and you went to Publix and a warehouse and you went in there and you grabbed somebody else's ride, they would come over and like, nah, bro, that's my ride. Nope. They said, like, it was like prison.
So what about when was you became a intern, right? Intern or no, apprentice?
Apprentice.
You became an apprentice, and what happened from there?
I was there for probably, I think I only was at Black Swan for maybe like 9 months, something like. It wasn't very long.
Really short.
Yeah. I ended up quitting. The reason I ended up quitting was because the old dog there, I ended up asking him, I don't know if he was just in a bad mood that day or what it was. I ended up asking him, like, hey, like, I've been here 9 months, I've been scrubbing tubes, I've been doing all the everything I'm supposed to do. I was like, when do you think I'm going to learn how to start, like, setting up? You know, which was like the next step, sort of, right? You know, just setting up machines, setting up their stations for them to tattoo, right? Because I would break them down, and I would scrub tubes, and I would take care of the shop. I would answer phones. I'd do paperwork. I took care of all that stuff, all the apprentice duties. But, I kind of felt like I'd been there for like 9 months. We were coming up on a year. I felt like maybe it was time to, kind of level up a little bit, So I started asking him, like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, oh, dude, it's going to be another year and a half for you to learn anything. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it's going to be another year and a half for you if we teach you anything. And no other apprentice had been gone through, had been at Black Swan that long without learning anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if he just said it to see if I would break or whatever it was, but it worked. I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm not, no. So I ended up, I just packed up and I liquidated and I moved to Pennsylvania. And then I was tattooing at my house up there. I was tattooing for a while. And then a buddy of mine went to get some laser removal done at a shop called Art Rage Tattoo Studio in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I went with him. And then a buddy of ours named Vinny, he went with us. We were in a band together. Vinny was our singer, and we went up there, and the guitar player Mike, he was getting some laser removal done. And when we went into the shop, Vinny had some stuff that I had done on him at home, and the counter guy AJ was like, "Hey, like, who did that?" You know what I mean? And he was like, "Oh, well, he did." He was like, "Hold on." So he goes in the bag and he gets Joe Santos, who's the owner of Art Rage, became my second tat daddy. Joe comes out. Looks at what I had on Vinny, and he was like, "You can draw." He was like, "The line work's good." He was like, "Your shading's less than desirable." He was like, because it was on him and one other guy, and they were both good. And he was like, "I need a walk-in guy." He's like, "If you want to like go legit," he was like, "You can bring in 2 walk-ins or whatever," and kind of offered me a spot. And I was like,
"Should be doing like Flash."
Yeah, well, not even Flash, just like names and little crosses. Yeah, just the simple stuff. Which is actually some of the harder stuff to do, to be honest, because there's no room for error.
Right.
But I was good at line work, so he was like, "Yeah, he can do it." So he was like, "Yeah, just like, we'll bring you in, hang out for a couple weeks, see how it goes." And he was like, "If you come in," he's like, "you got to give me the machines that you have now." And I only had one machine. I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So came up the next day, brought him my machine. And then I sat there all day and I just drew and hung out and I kind of got along with everybody. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, went good." You know what I mean? And he was like, and the next day I came in, he looks at me, he's sitting there, he's like waiting for me to come in. And I walk in and he was like, "You're up." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I thought you said a couple weeks, like we were going to,
Nope.
And he goes, "Well, here's where a little bit of luck came in for me. This is one of those big moments in my life where things kind of, so Eric, the other guy that he had there, fell that night skateboarding and broke his wrist. And he needed somebody to tattoo. He couldn't do it all himself. Yeah. He was the only guy, right? He was like, so I came in and he was like, "Well, you're up," And so I'm up there and I'm fucking up, you know what I mean? And he ended up taking me under his wing, essentially. And he was just kind of like, "All right, look, this is how we're going to do this. This is how it works." You know what I mean? He kind of taught me the way that like I needed to be taught, right? But while I was there, I was so nervous, dude, because like Joe was good, Eric was good, I wasn't good, contrary to what people think now, because they think that they see my work now and they're like, "Oh, he's amazing, he's always good." Like, no, not the case. I started out just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I was there for about 6 months. And I decided that this wasn't the right fit. I was like, I told Joe, I was like, "Dude, I feel anxiety. I feel like I'm under pressure. I can't perform here." Like, even with everything I was learning, I was like, I couldn't pull it off. I felt like so under pressure there because they would come in, they would get this close, like while I was tattooing, and I was just like, I can't work like this, dude, So I left, right? And then I went home and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I got a temp job through a temp service, and I was trying to figure out whether I was going to actually pursue tattooing or whether I was going to work a warehouse job.
What was the job as a temp service?
It was, I went into this, it was like my job was, this is a warehouse where they produced a lot of different stuff, but it was the bags of tortillas that you buy at Publix or wherever. Yeah. Right? So they would come to me and I would grab the bag and I would run it under this little wheel and it would seal it.
Okay.
That was it.
That was it.
For
hours.
All day. I did it for 4 hours. Lunch hit.
Yeah.
And the lady who was like with me, who was like showing me the ropes and stuff, she was like super nice, right? She was dope, right? But I'm with her and she was like, oh, we're going to go to lunch. I was like, yeah. I was like, 1 second, let me grab something from my car. I'll meet you in the lunchroom. She was like, okay, cool. I fucking left and never went back.
I did that to a car wash once.
And then I got a job at Lowe's. And I was in Lowe's and I was working and I was unloading a truck, right? Not with a pallet jack, by hand for some reason. It was just a truck full of stuff. They were like, unload this truck. I was like, all right, whatever. So, but I was sick that day. And I'm on like day shift at Lowe's. So, I mean, I'm in there at 4:30 a.m. That's when I clocked in. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning. I was sick. So sick, dude. Sick as a dog. I go in there and I'm eating cough drops, like, you know, and ibuprofen and just trying to do whatever I could to get through the day. And I'm on there, I'm unloading this truck, I'm sweating my ass off. And I'm just like, I stopped for a second. I was like, is this really what you want, dude? You know, I had a big moment. I was like, is this it? You know? And I was like, no fucking way, dude. And I took my belt off. I was like, I'm going to be a fucking tattooer. And I left. I didn't say anything to anybody. I left. And then I went home and I printed out a bunch of work from like the guys who were bigger at the time, right? I printed off all their stuff, the A guys, right? And then I printed off some stuff from the B guys, the C guys, all the way down to scratcher level shit. And then I printed off my work, right? The tattoos that I had. And I took the papers and I was like trying to find where I fit in, and it just kept going down, dude. I was just right above, you know? So on purpose, I went and found the worst shop I could find. Because
so you could do whatever you wanted.
No. I went and found the worst shop I could find because that's where I belonged. That's why. I was like, I'm going to go to the worst shop. I was like, because I'm not good enough to go to a better shop. I'm just going to make them look bad.
Yeah.
Right? So I went to the worst shop that I could find. And that shop was inside of a petrol gas station that I worked in for 6 months. And I tattooed smelly truckers until I got my chops up just enough to where I could like go to a place that was a little better and then a little better. And then eventually I ended up working at a place in Nashville. It was like the end all be all at the time, you know, it was called Black 13. And they were like, at the time they were the fucking tattoo shop. I mean, it was Murderer's Row, dude. Like the whole shop was just savages.
Bombs.
Right? And then I ended up getting the job there when a guy named Timmy B left. So all eyes were on that place because Timmy B had blown up. He was huge, dude. Unbeatable fucking tattooer. If you were at a tattoo convention with him and you were going for like tattoo of the day or tattoo of the show, forget about it. I mean, I think he won like 30 in a row or something. It was crazy. He was just an absolute monster, dude. And he was on a tear and he left Black 13 and did his own thing. Well, all eyes were on that spot. They were like, who the fuck are they going to get to replace Timmy B at Black 13? It was me. Josh had hit me up, found me on Instagram. I was like, come do a guest spot. And I went and did a guest spot. We hit it off, and then I ended up coming there to work. I ended up moving there.
I think I remember seeing stuff on social media about, I do remember that, matter of fact, you doing guest spots. I remember that.
Yeah, I was a road dog.
Down.
I was a road dog for years.
Yeah,
because like I was homeless. I didn't have a place to stay. So I was like, well, if this is the situation, I was like, I guess I'll just get on the road, you know, and just be on the circuit, on the convention circuit. So that's what I did. What I would do is I would go to a convention. I would get there. I would prepay. I would hit up the promoter, get a booth, and I'd show up to the show, right, with what little bit of money I had left. And I would get there. And this was far before I was like Yogi Barrett, you know what I mean? Like I was just John.
I was going to ask that. Were you still John at this point?
Yeah,
right?
I was just, you know, and we can talk about the Yogi thing later, but yeah, I was just John, dude. So I would go to a show. I would get there, and what I would do was I would get there, and then I would look at what shows we had coming. I would try to have 2 or 3 in advance, right? So I would have 2 or 3 shows set up, and I would get there, and I'd be like, all right, where's my next show? And I would look at the state that I had to go to, and I would look at the states I had to go to in between, right? And then I would get the list of the artists that were at the show that weekend. Whatever artists were from the states that were in between, I would try to make friends with that weekend. I'd buy them a beer or something.
Yeah.
Right? And then we get to talking. Like, and then I would smooth it into a conversation. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going up to do another convention in like a couple weeks. I think you guys are on the way. I was like, would you guys mind if I came through and did some tattoos? I'm like, yeah, dude, come on, man. And I would bankroll myself to
all
the
the way
next
to
show.
the next location.
And I'd get to the next show, and then I'd spend the money that I had, and I'd pay for the show that was 2 or 3 shows away. And then while I was at that show, I'd get the list, look at where I had to go, and I'd bankroll myself to the next show. And I just did that for years. I was just on the fucking road, dude. A lot of times I would crash in other people's rooms. I'd crash on the floor. You know, if I was doing guest spots, you know, sometimes some of the guys would let me stay in their house or, you know, take a shower or like whatever, wash some clothes. And you know, I was just sleeping in a fucking BMW, that red Beamer. That's what I was in, that little fucking Beamer. I was like trying to stretch out in that fucking thing, you know.
So 10 being the level you're at right now, and 0 being the truck stop where you made tattoos. At this point in time, where are you in your level?
Maybe like 6.
6?
Yeah,
okay,
6,
so you're getting
good.
Would you say that helped build your brand?
What's that? Just being a road dog?
Yeah.
I met a lot of people that way.
To shop.
And at the shows, you meet people from all over.
Yeah.
You know, so eventually what happens is, this is what I say, tattoo of the day at tattoo conventions is a good chopping block. Because if you go there and you're competitively tattooing, right? Which, I mean, if you go to a show and you beat a name tattooer, right? And you beat somebody who's like, you know, awesome.
Yeah.
At one show, the first time, it doesn't matter. Right? That doesn't count. The reason it doesn't count is because 3 people who's probably like the promoter's wife, some piercer, and some starting out tattooer. It's not like those 3 who are judging tattoo of the day or tattoo of the show are like badass fucking tattooers, because those guys are competing most of the time. A lot of times it would be like people like that. So those 3 people just decided on that day that, you know, your tattoo was better than mine. Yeah. Right? It's like, all right, well, you got one, but it's like it's not consistent yet.
It's subject to personal interpretation,
but
especially someone who doesn't have the skills to really judge it.
Right, but here's what happens. So you stay out there, you stay on the road, you stay doing the convention circuit, and you stay doing shows, right? And eventually you start getting called back with the same people all the time, right? It's like, okay, when you start getting called back every time with the same people who are always winning, it's like it starts to say something, right? And then when you win one, it's like, okay, cool, I won one. And then later you win 2. It's like, okay. And then later you get called back with the same people again. It's like you win 3. And it's like, then it's 4 and 5. And now you're competing with the best tattooers all consistently across the board at conventions all over the country or all over, you know, I went to Belgium and stuff like that. So, I mean, so, you know, when you're getting called back all the time with all these badass tattooers, like eventually you start to understand, like, okay, I'm at the level, right? So that's why those are like a good, and then people start to talk about you, and then people start to follow you, and then, you know, eventually you change your name on Instagram and you end up giving yourself a fucking nickname, like I did. You know what I mean? So that's how the Yogi thing happened. I was at Black 13, and one of the dudes who owned the shop was named Josh Woods. He was like a real good tattooer. He was telling me a story about how he used to work with this other guy. I'm not gonna mention his name, but he's like super amazing at like marketing. Are we running low?
We're getting close.
All right, so
I got a couple more questions.
Okay, so he was super good at marketing. You didn't argue with that guy when it came to marketing. He's the marketing fucking guru in tattooing. So Josh was working with him, and he goes, "Hey man, we're gonna change your name. We're gonna change your name to Josh Woods." His real last name was Wachowski. Right, it's like a long last name. It's like a pull-off from up north. So he's Josh Woods, and it's for marketing, right?
Yeah, a wrestling name.
Yeah, and Josh tells me about this, right? And I was like, oh, I was like, shit. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a stripper name,
right? So he changed his name, and it fucking works.
Yeah.
Right. It's off to the races, right? So I was like, oh, dude, sick. I was like, because I think my name on Instagram was like John Barrett 863 or some shit like that. You know? So I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I should change my name on social. That way, it's like, you know, something that's like catch. You know, right? Yeah. So I started trying to think of something. I went a couple weeks, and dude, I was just coming up with nothing. Right? You know, I was like, I couldn't think of anything. And I was like, well, and for whatever reason, it popped in my head. A friend of mine, years and years and years back, had called me Yogi Barrett, and we were watching YouTube or something. We were just hanging out, and he goes, Yogi Barrett, right? Never said it again. No one was there. No one heard it. Never stuck. Nothing, right? For whatever reason, it popped in my head, and I was like, whatever. I was like, working title, you know? I was like, I haven't come up with anything better, so I put it on my Instagram, Yogi Barrett, right? And then people start showing up to the shop, fucking asking for Yogi
Barrett,
and then that's how the Yogi thing. I wasn't trying to give myself a nickname. I was more or less just trying to put something that like was easy to remember, was catchy, just for like a social media handle, you know, and it just caught, dude, you know. And then like even now, people who knew me from like way back, like
Still
old nicknames, they call me Yogi now. And it's like, guy told me the other day, he's a tattooer. He's like, when I think of Yogi, he's like, I don't think of the bear. He's like, I think of you now, which is like weird to me because I still think of the bear, you know. But
I was wondering if maybe it had some sort of connection.
Well, it was a play on words, Yogi Barrett.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People always say Yogi Barrett, the baseball player. They try to compare.
That's something that pulled up. When I was
Googling. But it didn't come from. I'm not a baseball fan by any stretch of the imagination. I've never been a fan of baseball or anything. I didn't even know there was a guy named Yogi Barrett. Like, I had no idea.
You should Google yourself.
Yeah, I don't. Dude, I don't Google. Like, I had a client show up, you know, like we talked about earlier, and they told me about the Google stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, I guess. Like, I don't know, man. I don't get caught up in. I'm just doing fucking tattoos, man.
That's
you
it.
know? Like, I've never Googled myself. Like, it's not like.
So tell me, was there ever a moment, like, so in videography or film production of any kind, really, there's when you start it, you're like, man, this is awesome. I love doing this. Yep. I'm editing. I'm filming. I'm filming what I want. I'm editing what I want, right? And then there comes a time where you start getting clients and you start fulfilling orders, right? And then there becomes a time where it loses some of that luster that it had, and it's like now you're just doing a job, right? Did you ever have a moment, you know, that it was like that, and how did you find your way back?
I think you gotta have something to chase.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing, right? Like, you're chasing that quality because you're not there yet. It gives you something to do. You're like, oh man, I'm getting better. Oh, I learned a new trick. Eventually, you get to the point where you're like, kind of know all the tricks. Like, I know most of them anyway. Yeah. You know, it's like I'm not gonna say there's not a lot left to learn. Like, because you know, I don't think that's a thing. But you gotta get around some more people who know some shit you don't. Yeah. For sure. You know what I mean? Because like that keeps it interesting.
Fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you learn some things and you're like, oh shit, like I'm doing that when I get back. You know what I mean? Like I'm stealing that fucking trick. That's kind of what made me good at tattooing. I would get around tattooers who were better, and I was like a technique vampire. I don't know. I guess this is a good way to put it. I don't know. I was just like, I'm a technique guy, right? Like I would see a little gem, a little trick that they would do, and I'm like, putting that in my bag for later. Yeah. My bag just so happens to be bigger than other people's bag. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
video's not much different.
Yeah. So I think you just need something to chase. I think, you know, but I can understand it too, because like, you know, I've gone through times where I was just like, I'm quitting. Like I've gotten very close to quitting before. I was just like now I hate the business. I hate the business of tattooing. Like I don't go to conventions because everything at a convention irks the fuck out of me. Like everything I don't like about tattooing is at a tattoo convention. You know, all of the fucking the tattoo, you know, TV tattooers are there, and they've got, you know, they're all fucking, you know, blinged out with stupid fucking outfits, and like they're like, you know, playing this character, and then there's like, you know, all these people kissing their ass, and then there's like all the people who only care about how many sponsorships they can get, and like there's like, you know, and then there's like, I always go hang out with the guys who like aren't really doing much, because usually those are like the tattooers. You know what I mean? The guys who are just like waiting for somebody to walk up. They got a bunch of sick ass designs on their booth. They're just like chilling, you know? Those are usually guys I'll go hang out with. I'm not interested in like rubbing elbows with like whoever's popular. Like I don't care about the clout. I never cared about the clout. It was never about me. It was about my work, right? You know? So I think as long as you are pushing to where you just want to get your work better, and you just stay in the work and don't get outside of that. It's like, this is what you like to do and enjoy what you're doing. I think you'll be all right, you know? But like, it is hard to find things to keep pushing sometimes though, you know? Cause like, you know, I used to get
harder as you get closer to the top. There's less and less.
I say that all the time. There's like a plateau. Like people think that there's like one tattooer on top that's like the best, and then there's two, and then there's three. And it's like, that's not really how it works, right? You get up and then there's a plateau. It's like this table right here. And then there's like 50 or 60 tattooers that are up here together. Those are the best guys, right? And when it comes to it, it's like, you know, this guy over here who's like really good at realism and portraits and stuff may do a better portrait than me on this day. And then tomorrow I'll do a better portrait than he did of, maybe it's the same image. I'll do a better job than he did on the same thing, right? People are like, oh, he's not as good. He's better. And then, it just becomes like, who had the better cup of coffee that day? And then you kind of run out of things to compete for. You kind of run out, you're all kind of up here, and you're like, well, what do we do now? We're all, you have the better cup of coffee tomorrow. It's like, well, what do we do now?
On any given day.
And then I think that's where it starts to become like, all right, well, what can we do now? All right, well, we've kind of got to the top of this tattoo thing. It's like, all right, well, how many followers can we get? How popular can I get? Let's go on a TV show so I can be recognized at the fucking bank or like whatever, right? And it becomes like a different thing. They find this different thing to chase that's not tattooing them, but they kind of feel like they conquered it a little bit, right? I feel like that from time to time. Right? Like, I don't feel like not that I know everything or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but the pocket that I'm in, the stuff that I like to do, I feel like I'm there, right? Yeah. And it's like, that's why I was like, I want to lean into YouTube. I just want to do something different now. I want to do some more things, right? But I don't want to sell out tattooing. I haven't forgot who I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So
100%.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
So that might ruffle some feathers, but whatever.
Well,
I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Whatever.
Bro, thanks for joining.
All right, we're at Black, bro.
I appreciate it. Breathe deep.
Whiff wham.
Hot damn.
That's how you end it right there. All right.
Oh, man, I can't believe you remember that. Ride Black. Breathe deep.